My videos will contain a giveaway starting now. My partner, Dobby Trading, made these awesome customized Dragon Shield sleeves that we will be giving away for free. To win, you have to be located in Europe, be subscribed to this channel, count the number of times the Dobby Trading logo appears in this video, and post it in the comments. The first person with the correct answer wins. Welcome, welcome. This is Rob Fighting with another Legacy video. A deck that caught lots of attention recently because it's very good against non-interactive decks is Reanimator. Entomb got banned to the misery of Reanimator. It was not even because of this mono black shell with Shallow Grave, Animate Dead, Dark Ritual. It was because of blue-black Reanimator with Grief, Psychic Frog, Troll of Khazad-dûm. Reanimator was always a deck I felt the loss of Entomb is really miserable, makes this deck much more of a glass cannon. Of course, easier to play against. At least getting the two Surveil lands helps. So what has changed? I think the deck plays equal amount of discard, but just plays more reanimation, more creatures, that there's a higher chance you get them because you don't have the luxury of waiting for Entomb anymore. So I think it was like a few less creatures, and I cannot remember that I ever played Shallow Grave. Yeah, but there was still Exhume in the deck, so maybe it is just the number of creatures that is higher now. In total, we played 12. Griselbrand, the best, we won 4. Atraxa, Archon of Cruelty, if there is an Caracas on the opponent's side, and Ruff and Mickey to just get the fun attack trigger and hopefully find one of the other 3. The sideboard is as simple as it gets. 4 Ancient Tombs, 4 Stronghold Gambit, 4 Show and Tell, and 3 Sneak Attack. That hasn't changed. There are some Reanimator players that diversify the sideboard a little bit, have some Doughty, have some Graveyard Hate and Leyline. Sometimes they play a Meltdown, but usually they have this transformational sideboard that makes your 3-card combination, so Faithless Looting, Fatty, and Reanimate, to a 2-guard combo in either one of these 3, Gambit, Show and Tell, Sneak Attack, and one of these Fatties. And even more important, it doesn't use the graveyard. So the idea is your opponent boards in plenty of Graveyard Hate, and then you just kill them with Sneak Attack, Show and Tell, and Stronghold's Gambit. Gambit is fantastic against decks without creatures. Show and Tell, Sneak Attack is fantastic against anything. So the idea is make the sideboard hate worse. The only card that works in both cases is Containment Priest, so I believe Containment Priest should be the best Graveyard Hate moving forward. Oops, top 8'd Showcase last weekend, or I think 2 weeks ago. So it's still important to have some Graveyard Hate in a sideboard, and I believe because of this transformational plan, Containment Priest is the way to go. Let's get into the matches, let's get into the league. Here we go, round 1 with Reanimator. You see the sideboard, transformational, Ancient Tombs, Sneak Attack, Show and Tell, and the Gambit. Let's see if we kill on turn 1. We have a Looting, we have a Griselbrand and a Shallow Grave. That looks good to me. Opponent mulligans, also good. 5 cards, maybe I am dead, who knows. Swamp, Petal, oh, is it the Mirror? Thoughtseize, discarding my Looting. Here I am far away from anything, so I think my best plan is not to surveil twice to find a discard spell. It's just draw, pass, and then clean up in the second draw step. If my opponent is on a Reanimator, I am screwed anyways, but I kinda doubt it because he would have discarded the Griselbrand. Now I have 8 cards in hand. Let's discard the Griseldaddy. Drawing the Reanimate is of course fantastic. Here is Reanimate on Griselbrand, and my opponent concedes. As easy as it gets. Go to the cleanup step and put the Fatty in the graveyard. Game 2, I expected lots of graveyard hate, so I took out all my graveyard stuff, brought in all my show and tell sneak attack stuff. Let's see how it goes. Not sure. Maybe the therapy can stay in, maybe the looting can stay in, maybe even the reanimate can stay in to be quick enough. I think this is one of the strengths of the deck, because nobody knows if you're on the show and tell plan or if you're on the graveyard plan. So cards like Containment Priest are actually all-stars, but anything else, rest in peace. Everything that targets the graveyard might be completely miserable in game number 2 and 3. So we have some mana. 5, 6, almost enough mana to hardcast the Archon. We can Thoughtseize. I keep the hand because I expect my opponent to discard me, and at least I have some lands, and if I draw any spell, it should be fine. Okay, opponent starts with a Thoughtseize, and then reanimates my Archon. Shame. Ha! Shame, shame, shame. I drew a Grizzlebrand. Let's Thoughtseize him to get an idea of what he's playing. He showed me Reanimate, Leyline, Thoughtseize, Hexmage. So like a mono-black depth stack, and I concede the game. Again, quick and dirty. I stick to my plan in game 3. I brought it in all the sneak attack, show and tell stuff, because it's essentially one less card I need in my hand, and my opponent is a discard spell deck, and he showed me Leyline of the Void. So let's show and tell him. And this is exactly the hand that I'm thinking about. I'm not even dying to Thoughtseize from my opponent yet. I just need to draw a fatty. I have some insurance. My opponent also shows me a Karn. So it's like a mono-black Karn, Vampire Hexmage, Graveyard Hate deck, which looks really fine. I discard the Karn because I have plenty against the discard spell. Of course, maybe I needed to think about the Doughty, but I expect my opponent to Dark Ritual, Doughty, Thoughtseize, and now he is left with 0 creatures in hand, 2 cards, 1 is a swamp. I think even 2 are swamps. So any fatty now, and here is Mr. Fat. And the game is ending. I think casting Dark Ritual first is better, but I can still hit the Lotus Petal, so why not? Draw 7. There are more petals. There's Ruffin Mickey. Cast Dark Ritual again, but I don't think it matters so much. Let's see what the Ruff is finding. Another Ruff, that's a bit of a bummer. Still, I attack for 7 and I have a Grizzlebrand in play. Let's see. My opponent sacks, casts his own Ruff and Mickey. Attacks for 7. Let's see what he hits. Just a Doughty. It's kind of a back and forth. But I believe that, oh, even better now, Dark Ritual can cast a Sneak Attack puts in a Grizzlebrand, and that's lethal regardless of what the Ruff and Mickey is hitting. Wild match, of course, and that's enough, and it doesn't even matter what the Ruff and Mickey reveals. So, cool plan. Probably the matchup is tricky, to say the least. Opponent has lots of tricks with discard, animated, Doughty, Void Walker. So I probably got away with one right here and now in round number 1. Round number 2, let's see the opening hands. No discard. I'm on the play, so the cleanup step way that I did in game 1 is a bit risky because I don't know what my opponent is playing. I mulliganed. Here I have a bunch of discard, bunch of reanimate, but nothing big. I totally miss Entomb. I think Reanimator was always a fine deck, just the blue-black put it over the top, and that's why Entomb got banned. And so it's quite funny that Reanimator is still a decent deck, even though we don't have Entomb anymore. So Thoughtseize myself, Reanimate on Archon. Let's see if it works. I have my doubts. What's my opponent playing? Wasteland. That doesn't do it. Smartly got the swamp. So let's reanimate and hope. Force of Will, pitching Flow State, so a control deck, probably a bad matchup. And given that he has a Wasteland, it could be blue-red or blue-black. Blue-red is probably the most likely. So let's play Looting. Oh, my opponent had a Wild Keep. Just Wastelands and Forces. He must have known that I'm on Reanimator. I don't think you beat a fair deck with that keep. Yeah, I'm waiting with the Looting to just have more cards. I so desperately need a discard, a Reanimate spell. But I also don't want to lose the Badlands. Okay. Worst case scenario, my opponent drew land and reanimated. Yeah, I should have cast the Looting beforehand. Yeah. Not a fan of my opponent's keep, but you get what you deserve. For game 3, I bought it in the Sneak Attack Show and Tell plan. I bought it out some of the Graveyard Reanimation. I didn't bring in Stronghold's Gambit because I expected my opponent to be on blue-black tempo and usually have lots of creatures, so the Gambit is not that strong. Let's see how we fare in this one. First had no creature, second had no creature, no show and tell, no nothing. Am I keeping it? Oh, okay, I have some discard. And yeah, I'm not a fan because I'm 2 cards away from doing anything. I can Thoughtseize and Therapy. My opponent showed me a hand with Doughty and Force of Will. How am I ever supposed to beat it? Yeah, I'm not a fan of this keep. The matchup is probably so bad that going to 5 is hopeless almost anyways. So he forced my Therapy, pitching another Force of Will, played the Sewer. Let's see if there's a land on top so he can play the Doughty. Obviously there is. Here is Doughty White Walker. I'm still far away from comboing. I don't play out the Ancient Tomb because of Wasteland. I still need Show and Tell and the Fatty. Looting is not a bad start. But it only hits lands and I concede. Yeah, the keep was the beginning of the end. I believe that was my mistake. Round 3 against Bad Boros. Let's see if he sticks to his name. No land. Here I can unmask myself and reanimate. Why not? Opponent has Arid Mesa. Plains. Ocelot Pride. So let's lose some life. Seven cards. Unmask my opponent. He just has some creatures. I take the one that could be a removal spell, Amtraptor. He has 2 voices and a Ajani and a land. Hopefully he doesn't draw a sword. Ajani is cool. Looting is nice to get the Atraxa in the graveyard. There's also Reanimate and Petal. And with the Petal I can cast a Shallow Grave to get the Atraxa back right away. Gain some life, draw some cards with the Grizzle Daddy, draw cards with Atraxa. Game should end. Okay, my opponent agrees. Game ended right here. In game 2, I need to consider Containment Priest, Leyline of the Void, so I took out some of the graveyard. I left in the Reanimate, but I also brought in Sneak Attack and Show and Tell. Let's see how it goes. Almost a turn 1, Show and Tell. Any land. I even have the Unmasked to protect. And my opponent starts with a Leyline. Joke on you. Second Leyline. The joke is even harder. Any land. Or a Petal, sort of a land. We can unmask our opponent. He has nothing. And then we Show and Tell a Grizzlebrand into play. Draw 14 cards. And be good with ourselves. We found a Dark Ritual, that's cool, so we can put in another big one. Doesn't even matter if it's Archon, we could also put in a Sneak Attack. Archon, rough. Rough for another roll. Rough finds Archon, cool. And I win. Nice ley lines. Round number 4. Our opening hand is a discard. We are on the draw, so it's a bit better. But I wanted to have a better hand. Here we can Thoughtseize ourselves, then Reanimate. Not super exciting, but we can always draw a Faithless Looting. Here I put one of the creatures on the bottom. Grizzlebrand is still the best, no question asked. Island, Ponder, so there is some force. Lotus Petal, Sneak Attack maybe. Here I can Thoughtseize myself or Thoughtseize my opponent. I choose to Thoughtseize myself and then hope for the 2 Reanimates. I still have a Grizzlebrand if he wants to Show and Tell, but it looks more like a Doomsday. So here, Dark Ritual Doomsday. My Thoughtseize myself plan was just too slow, it seems. Tamiyo. Let's Reanimate. Let's draw. I have nothing to continue, 1 life. I can only discard my opponent, but it doesn't help against the Doomsday. Maybe he has only 1 Oracle in the deck, but he plays Unearth. That's kind of cool. Considers Cycle, and if he has the 2nd Oracle, oh, he has Unearth. Okay, maybe I could have left him the Oracle in hand, but I think this is not a May. Yeah. But like, who does it? So yeah, that was a bit of a bummer because he needed to make the pile differently, right? Could he win this turn? Oh, he can just play it with 2 cards left in the deck. So kudos to my opponent putting Unearth in his pile because he thought I would discard him, the Thassa's Oracle. So for game 3 again, I took out some of the sideboard reanimation and brought in the Show and Tell Sneak Attack just to be quicker. Maybe it's not quicker, but I felt a 2-card combo is better than a 3-card combo. Here we have the nuts, probably. Can even discard our opponent, Dark Ritual, Show and Tell, Atraxa. Opponent mulligans. One of these Reanimator hands that are just really, really hard to beat. See, my opponent has no force. And I will make a turn 1 Atraxa. With the perfect 7, I would say. Opponent bins a daze, cast a ponder. Can we bin a fatty? We cannot. So let's attack for 7. Now if he casts a Doomsday, he has to win right away. Because Atraxa will make it so that he will kill himself. Therapy is cool. I can therapy myself, put Archon in play, and put him to 1 that he's unable to cast the Doomsday. Because he would just die. 1 life, you play. My opponent still casts Doomsday, that's funny. Now he has to do the trick, and Doomsday says, you lose half your life rounded up. If you're at 1, 0.5 is half, round up is 1, so you die after you cast Doomsday. So it's always good to put them to 1 small advantage. And for game number 3, I took out the sneak attack and surveillance. I just wanted to be quicker, and I had the shallow grave and the show and tell. I'm not really certain how a good sideboarding against. Maybe the Gambit is also okay because it's a 2-card combo that costs only 2 mana. Sideboarding against Doomsday feels a bit random, especially if you don't have the nuts. Here we have a discard spell, we have a looting, we have a shallow grave, almost there. We could have kept the... oh no, we don't. If I draw a black card, I could think about unmasking myself. But I'm unmasking my opponent. And I see triple force, force of negation, and a ponder. Shame. I take the force of negation because I play... oh no! No, the Cabal Therapy is in my sideboard. Okay, that's a misstep. I don't see myself winning it. I have to fight through 3 forces. And there's flow state. Only show and tell. And here's Doomsday, and he still has 3 forces in hand, so double protection. I just give up because I play Dark Ritual, he counters. I play show and tell, he counters. Nothing I can do against so many forces. That was a bummer of a discard spell. Round number 5. Can we get the 3-2? Slow hand, but we are on the draw, so we could discard and hope for the animate that on my turn 3. I mulligan. Here we have looting, we have reanimate, we have unmask. That looks super cool. I pitched the petal. Maybe the petal is okay, because it allows me to cast looting and reanimate. We play against Boros. The Archon is not too great in the matchup. It still draws me a card and gets rid of my opponent's creature and a card. But he just plays swords. So we're back to 0. I start with the Thoughtseize. I want to see what he's working with. Only lands. And now if I happen to pitch some big creature in the graveyard with a surveil land, I should be golden. My opponent Thoughtseizes, picks Animated, I think. I like him to pitch Faithless Looting here, because it allows me to see more cards. But who knows, it's a 50-50, most likely. So there's Reanimate on top, that's cool. So if I looting into a big creature, and I do, ha! Bye-bye, opponent. and he is in agreement with me. So we are against Mardu. I take out the slow reanimation. I bring in Show and Tell. I don't bring in Stronghold's Gambit because he has creatures. You could argue that my plan could be to discard his creatures and then he has Stronghold's Gambit, but sometimes his hand is like 4 creatures and 3 lands. I don't see how the Gambit can work against the Ocelot Pride decks. So let's see if the Show and Tell sneak attack plan is any good. I hope he has some ley lines that he wants to put in. So here we can Thoughtseize ourselves and reanimate. Maybe it's okay. Let's see what my opponent does to me. He has to pick Reanimate, and he does. We draw a Thoughtseize, so we can safely Thoughtseize him. And it's what I said. Oh no, it's not that bad. So he has Therapy, Pride, and Bombardment. Let's see what he does. Surveil, Pride. But I can always draw it, and I drew it. Here's Thoughtseize, here's Reanimate. He does have swords in the deck, so it's not game over, but my opponent still concedes. So overall, this Glass Cannon did quite well. We did a 3-2 in this league. We won against Mono Black. Quite a wild game. He has Leylines, Karns, Doughties, also Animate Deaths. So the game is back and forth, and with these non-blue decks that don't play Brainstorm, it's just whoever top decks better, and I was the one who top decked better. Then we played against blue-black, who completely destroyed us with a hand of Forces and Wastelands, and then Reanimate my creature in game 1. And in game 2, he had Doughty and I just didn't find it. So this is where it's really important to understand that you don't draw so many cards with this deck. So your opening hand is like 80% that you have to work with. So if your 6 doesn't do it, if your 5 doesn't do it, going to 4 and just having the chance to play, to do something is very, very important. So my mulliganing was questionable. Then we played against Boros. It seems like a buy. They can have Leyline, but we can circumvent it with the Show and Tell sneak attack sideboard plan. This is the reason why I would like Boros to play Containment Priests moving forward. And if I ever choose to play one of these decks, Mardu or Boros, I certainly aim for the Containment Priest. Doomsday, close games. We were a bit too slow in 2 games. And Mardu, so another Ocelot Pride variant, who had the Leylines in game 2, but I had the Show and Tell sneak attack side of the story. So again, play Containment Priest and not Leyline of the Void. We lost against the 2 blue matchups. We won against the non-blue decks. You saw what a Glass Cannon this deck is, much more than it used to be, because I felt Entomb gave it a little bit more flexibility. Now you play more discard, the Cover Therapy, discarding yourself and then reanimating happens quite often. Also going to clean up, putting the fatty in the graveyard happens quite often. In total, of course, this deck is, I cannot see it being good against all the blue decks. I like the sideboard plan, but against the blue decks that also play creatures, it feels a bit tricky. So the blue-black completely destroyed me, and the Doomsday player happened to have 4 Forces in the game 3, which is also pain to play against. But yeah, of course, this was the first league with Reanimator. I had some practice from like back in the days because I owned the deck in paper. But on the other hand, you see how fast this league goes, how fast the games go. So the practice with Reanimator is more like, can you shuffle and can you make correct mulligan decisions? I was unhappy with a few decisions here and there when I mulliganed, but we also drew well in many of the situations. So the 3-2 is probably on average like 2-3, 3-2 all the time. This is the deck with the highest variance, because if you draw the right card, you just win on the spot. But sometimes you just keep drawing this card when actually you need an reanimation spell. So the deck is cool. I love the transformational sideboard plan, but the moment people pick up on it, people start playing Containment Priest, it will get worse. It will get worse. And also, it's really important that people bring in Hydroblast and Pyroblast against you after sideboard because of this transformational sideboard plan, right? So you just bring in more hate. And it's actually tricky to sideboard. Like there's, like I'm thinking about this Spider-Man meme where the Spider-Mans look at each other. So when you show him the transformation in game 2, maybe you take it all out and play the most reliant graveyard strategy again in game 3, because oftentimes I had it also when I played against the deck that it was really hard for me to cover both angles, but one angle is fine. So if it's the right angle and I got it covered, it seems perfect. But if it's the wrong angle and I don't have it covered, it seems bad. And my feeling is that the reanimation plan is just the most straightforward the deck can do. And the show and tell sneak attack gambit plan is a bit more challenging. On the other hand, all these 3 sideboard cards rely only on having a fatty and a gambit on your opponent who doesn't have any creature. So yeah, like it can be good. Like to me, it feels it is the class canon of the format. It's good to have a Reanimator deck in the format. It's good that it loses against the blue decks and it beats the fair decks. So like in my mind, Legacy should be a meta game of 20-30 viable decks that can all win a tournament. And it all comes down to who plays better, who predicts better, who puts better sideboard cards in his deck list. So having Reanimator, even though Entomb got banned in the format, is quite cool. And I do love the transformational sideboard plan. And I just realized that I talked more than most of the games in this league went. In total, a 3-2. I hope you counted the logo of Dobby Trading. Oh, it's here under me. And post a number in the comments because you can win some sleeves. And if you enjoyed the deck, leave a like, leave a subscription. I hope you leave a comment, especially regarding my plays, my sideboarding, if you agree, if you don't agree. I just do it by feeling. I owned the deck on paper. I had some reps with it. I won some money with it, but of course, all these new variants and all the new meta game require a new thinking about the sideboarding strategy. And given the sideboard games are 2 out of 3, so it's 66%, 66.66, yeah, whatever, percent of every round of Magic. A high focus is on the sideboard games. Of course, winning game 1, which we did 4 out of 5 times, is important. And then we just have to scrape out one, get over the finish line in one of the sideboard games, maybe with our transformational sideboard plan. I hope you have a good one. Count the logo, post it in the comments. Cheers.